All right, we've got another vinyl haul video. This is sort of part 2 to the video that I made where I told you I went to this gentleman's house. His name was George. He had a Facebook Marketplace listing with all these records on a couch on his porch. And I went through that day and picked about $40 worth of records and a few cassettes, and then told them I'd like to come back because they said they had more records in the basement and in their garage, and I'd love to take a look through them. So I did contact them the day after New Year's, and they were happy to have me come back over and go through the records in the basement and some additional cassettes that George had found. I'm going to do the cassettes in a separate video. We're going to focus just on the vinyl, and on this one I'm going to go through all the records that I picked and then show you the ones that I'm going to keep. So first off, went through George's space and had some, records that all look like they were from thrift stores and estate sales. Nothing earth-shattering as far as value goes, but some definite good records. First one is Dean Martin. I take a lot of pride in what I am. This one's in really nice condition on the jacket. It does have somebody's name on it, but I would say this is certainly VG+. A little bit of wear on old Dino's face here, but really good condition. And the vinyl, as my children come downstairs, I would say this is EX- condition. Pretty nice looking record. And then this one, another Dean Martin. Dean Martin Hits Again, another record from Kathy's collection. She liked to write her name on her LPs. But you can see this one, again, really good condition. I did have to wipe it down because there was a lot of dust on there, but this one still is in the plastic sleeve. I would say this one is probably VG Plus on the vinyl, with the jacket in VG Plus as well. Really nice condition. A little bit of chipping down here on the spine. Not too bad. So then we've got some John Denver that popped up. John Denver's Greatest Hits. Leaving on a Jet Plane, Take Me Home Country Roads, Rocky Mountain High, all those classics. Probably just a VG jacket on this one. We do have the inner sleeve. Vinyl's in really great shape. I would say EX-, which is part of why I grabbed it. There's a little surface scratch on the B side, but overall, really nice, clean copy of John Denver's Greatest Hits. I have picked this one just recently, so you may have seen this one, but we've got Poems, Prayers, and Promises by John Denver. I always grab this one because it has Take Me Home Country Roads on it. Very popular song, and one that I certainly like to listen to. Definitely a VG cover. We've got the spine here, or the seam here, is starting to split. Record hasn't poked through, but it is not far off. Do have the inner sleeve on this one. And this one still has some lingering fingerprints after I cleaned it. So I would put this one probably at VG. Probably just VG. Some light surface scratches that probably, one here that I'm seeing, might cause a little tiny bit of a pop, but not anything that would make me leave it behind. So there we go on John Denver. One last John Denver, Rocky Mountain High. Always grab this one because it has, of course, Rocky Mountain High on it. It's a nice flip open gatefold with a kind of an awkward record insert. It goes in through here. But this vinyl does not have a sleeve, but vinyl is in VG condition. Not too bad. Then we've got Glenn Campbell, Gentle on My Mind. I picked this one up mostly because of condition. We've got a VG Plus jacket on a record this old. Honestly, I would even say possibly EX- on the jacket. Nice clean inner sleeve, just a little bit of discoloration to it from over the years. And I cleaned the vinyl this morning. A little dusty still from that inner sleeve having some dust, but I would probably put the condition of this at EX- to VG+. That's part of why I grabbed this. Glenn Campbell, not a huge draw as far as the used vinyl bins at the record store, but I'll probably at least break even on this one. And someone can get their hands on a nice clean copy of Gentle on My Mind. One other Glenn Campbell that I picked up, this one's in the shrink still. This one is Glenn Campbell, A Satisfied Mind. We do have an inner sleeve on this one, and vinyl that I would say is in VG condition, while the jacket I would probably put at VG+. Got a little ding here, and with some wear here where the shrink wrap wasn't covering the front cover. So that was good. And then we've got Michael Stanley Band. Michael Stanley Band, we got a little bit of writing on the front. Looks like this belonged to Paul. Darcine, Paul Darlene, whatever. Doesn't matter. Nice written over this woman's breasts. That's really nice. We do have a seam split here down at the bottom where the vinyl does poke out a little bit. So I would probably put this cover at about a VG minus. We do have a nice gatefold. Opens up to some lyrics and some photos of the band. Both records missing a sleeve. But I would say these are probably VG plus. Some light surface scratches. Nothing that looks like it would affect play. The second LP looks like it might be even EX minus. So nice pickup there with the Michael Stanley Band, which I'm not familiar with these guys at all. Do not know their music whatsoever, but I grabbed it because it was only $1. And then, of course, we've got Georgia Satellites. This is still in the shrink, an 80s record. Keep Your Hands to Yourself. Everybody knows that song, right? This isn't worth a ton. I think it's like $6 on Discogs, but we've got EX vinyl here, folks. Maybe EX minus if I was really trying to be conservative. Really nice Electra inner sleeve is in really nice condition as well. So this was an easy pickup just because the condition was so top-notch. And then randomly, we've got a George Burns here, comedy album. I Wish I Was 18 again. I thought that this was sealed because it's typically, an indicator if it's sealed right here, but it's actually been opened at the bottom. I don't know if they tore the seam there. The record does come out. Looks to be, I haven't cleaned this one up, but it looks to be in, VG plus condition. Original sticker on here. Don't have any price information or what store this was from. This is on the Mercury label. So George Burns, figured for $1, might as well. The old classic Peaches and Herb Too Hot. This is in, VG plus condition on the jacket. We do have an inner sleeve, and we've got vinyl that is, VG, maybe even VG minus. Some scuffs that are a little aggressive, but we'll grab this one, hopefully break even on it, sell it for $1. And then this is I feel like a nuisance record for a lot of people, but I feel like it really sells well at Homer's. So Peter, Paul, and Mary, In the Wind. This is in pretty good condition. It's got a Keith Kelly ownership stamp on the bottom. This is on the Warner Brothers label. We do have an inner sleeve, and I put it in where I can't slide the vinyl out because the jacket or the inner sleeve was a little folded up. VG plus vinyl. I think probably more VG plus. And if it wasn't for just a couple of light scratches, I would think about EX minus on that vinyl. So that's an obvious pickup. I'm sure this can go in the record store for $5 or $6, and someone will definitely pick it up. Then we've got Christopher Cross. I just picked this up on CD and brought it to the record store, so we'll have an LP version to bring in as well. Got just the start of a split down here. I could probably repair that with some rubber cement and go from there. We've got an inner sleeve, which has some splits as well, but the vinyl is in VG plus condition all day long. So that was an obvious pickup for $1 from George and Denise. Get that back in there. All right, moving along. We've got some Hot Tuna, Phosphorescent Rat. Hot Tuna. This is a gatefold. Nice clean copy. Do have some splitting here at the bottom, so a little bit of rubber cement, or at the top, a little bit of rubber cement will clear that right up. Got the inner sleeve present, and really nice vinyl. I would say VG plus. If there wasn't for one little scuff on here, I would say EX minus. Maybe this would still qualify as EX minus. That scuff is probably going to knock it down to VG plus. So yeah, Hot Tuna, the Phosphorescent Rat. That one looked good. Now we're going back to country. We got George Jones in Shrink, Alone Again. I was tempted to keep this one, not to give away what I'm keeping and selling, but this one was really tempting to me. We do have an inner sleeve. Vinyl is in really nice shape. I would say EX minus, VG plus all day long. With the jacket, because of this corner snip, I would say VG plus on the jacket. I wish it still had the hype sticker, but it looks like that came off. Another country record. I am not familiar with this country artist, and it's probably something that came up in the Ken Burns documentary, but I just am not remembering it. The Ernest Tubb Story. Nice, big, heavy double LP. Flops open here. Got pictures of Ernest Tubb on the back. This is definitely a newer version of this release. The MCA label with the rainbow on it. I would say this vinyl is VG Plus, EX minus all day long. Really pretty nice copy here. And we'll definitely get that moving along. Pointer Sisters, break out. Check it out. George had some Pointer Sisters. This is in really nice condition. I put it in that way because the sleeve, I think... No, I don't know why I did that. Oh, it wouldn't go in the way I wanted it to. This is EX minus all day long. This vinyl is probably the cleanest vinyl of all the records I picked. Really, really nice condition. Maybe even EX plus. Jacket, I would say VG plus. It's got like a little, some little dents and dings here. VG plus probably does it. Back to country again. We've got Tex Ritter. Also starring the Rio Grande River Boys. This one looks like a Salvation Army thrift store pickup. They always write in Sharpie. It's really frustrating. They always write in Sharpie a letter that goes with like the color code for when it should go on sale. And of course, they wrote it on both sides of the label, which drives me crazy. I wish they wouldn't do that. But I grabbed this one because the vinyl is like serious VG plus. Couple little light scratches keeping it from EX minus, but this one's on the Coronet label. Really nice copy of this Tex Ritter album. And then we're going back to some psych, some rock. We've got Search and Nearness by the Rascals. The jacket is probably in just VG condition. It had a little bit of stickiness to it, I think due to humidity and all that from George's basement. And definitely some damage down here. Obviously, that could have been from the previous owner. George got a lot of this from thrift stores and whatnot. But when I pulled the vinyl, it was looking VG all day long. There is one decent scuff on here that doesn't look like it'll affect playback, but definitely some surface imperfections on that one. And then randomly, we got Phil Collins. Hello, I Must Be Going. It's got the You Can't Hurry Love cover. That's pretty famous from him. And then a lot of the other songs I don't really remember as radio hits. But this is a gatefold. Got some nice Polaroid collage here, which is really cool because I take Polaroids of my family, so it's cool to see him do that. And then he has like this picture of this organization for his music, and it's called the Vibe Strips, which is cool because I am probably using the word vibe way too much in my life, especially on one of my YouTube channels, which is about photography, and I do these videos called Vibescapes. So if Phil Collins can say vibe, I'm going to say vibe. This vinyl is pristine. I would say EX all day long. Jacket has a little tear at the bottom, as they tend to do when people let the album drop in too hard. But that was a nice pickup. Not worth a ton, but a good one to take to the record store because we don't get a lot of 80s music when we're out picking. Phil Collins, no jacket required. I was tempted to keep this one, but I don't know that I will. We got a little bit of writing on the back where someone marked up the songs that they liked with some kind of coding or asterisks. VG Plus, VG vinyl, some light scuffs, and we got some ring wear on the jacket. This one's from 1985, Phil Collins' famous album, No Jacket Required. Oh, make sure we're recording audio. I was excited to see this one. I don't see the Supremes very often at all when I'm out picking records, and often when I do, if I see one, it is trashed. Now this vinyl or this jacket is probably just VG, but the vinyl was decent enough. I would say VG, maybe VG minus. Probably VG if I want to be a little less conservative. Definitely some surface scratches that might make some pops, a little bit of pop or crackle. This one's on, of course, Motown. Missing the inner sleeve, but a nice pickup for $1. And then This is Gene Shepard, back to our old 50s country music. I do have a copy of this myself already, and it is in the shrink and in beautiful condition. So this one I will not be keeping. Vinyl is, I would say, VG for sure, and the jacket definitely rougher. We've got some splitting down here that really can't be repaired. There's room to use a little bit of rubber cement on there. I might do that just to stabilize it. But this is Gene Shepard, nice 50s country music singer. Definitely like her music. Got another one too, the best of Gene Shepard. From Power Pack in Nashville, Tennessee. This is obviously later in her career, where they wanted to do basically a greatest hits record. We do have an inner sleeve, and the vinyl I would say is VG Plus. Pretty nice condition. This had the shrink wrap on it, but it had a little bit of mold inside of it, and it just was making the record look a little bit not as good as it is. So I took it off, cleaned it up and dusted it off, and this is in really nice condition on the jacket. I would say probably VG Plus. It's got a couple of these little marks, and then there's discoloration along where the shrink wrap wasn't covering up the record. So really nice copy. And this is one that I am going to keep. This is a keeper. The rest of them are all keepers if I want to spoil the video for you. The rest of them are actually going to be all keepers. Because I am really digging some of this older 50s country music from some of these female artists. Too Many Rivers by Brenda Lee. This one was really cool, and the vinyl is just beautiful. I would say VG++ all day long, maybe even an EX- with a jacket that is VG Plus for sure. Can't wait to listen to this. I think it's my first Brenda Lee record. And then we got finally a little bit of jazz. I am not seeing any jazz on these picks, and I have been collecting Oscar Peterson for the last few months. This is Pastel Moods by Oscar Peterson. Definitely have a little bit of mold down here at the bottom. I might see if I can clean that up. Not too bad though. Worst part is there's a split here pretty good, and it's not one that I can use a little rubber cement to patch up. This is on the Verve label. I would probably put this at a VG. Yeah, VG, and I'll play it back. If some of these little surface scratches cause any playback issues, I might put it at VG-. VG- is probably a little harsh, but we'll see. I did look this one up. First record that popped up was like $24, but I double checked the matrix, and this one's worth about $12-13. Because of condition, it's not going to be worth nearly as much, but I'm going to be keeping that one because I had just snagged a couple Oscar Peterson records, and that'll go nicely with them. Now, one of the records that I saw and kind of gasped when I saw it, because I love collecting soundtracks, very specific soundtracks. But this one, Once Upon a Time in the West, of course, composed and conducted by Ennio Morricone. Beautiful soundtrack. I love this movie. I've got it on VHS and of course have it digital, so I can watch it anytime I want through my Apple TV. This is still in the shrink. Jacket is in VG Plus condition for sure. Obviously we've got some wear along the edge where the shrink wasn't covering it, so that's going to bump it down from EX. We do have an inner sleeve. Do I have two inner sleeves on this? This isn't two. Yeah, this isn't a double LP. I think I have an extra inner sleeve in here that I can use for something else. I did clean this one, didn't I? I don't think I did clean this one. This one's definitely in rougher shape. I'm surprised I didn't clean this one. I think this one will clean up okay. We do have quite a bit of surface scratches on side B, but they just look like scuffs. I think there's even that scratch, I can't really feel it. So I still have to clean this one. I don't know why I skipped over this one, but I'll get that cleaned up and better assessed. I think that one's gonna just be a VG on the vinyl on that one. Luckily we do have the inner sleeve and an extra one. This one, when I looked it up on Discogs, and I didn't look up the specific pressing, but the first one that came up was worth about $25. So this one is a keeper, and I hope to clean that up and get it in a little bit better shape. All right, we're getting down to it. We just have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 records to go. Winner of Your Heart by Kitty Wells, continuing our 50s female country music singer-songwriters. This vinyl is in VG Plus condition all day long, with a jacket that I would say is VG maybe not VG Plus, but VG Plus for its age. So many of these jackets are trashed on the records like this, but this one's in pretty good shape. This was covered in dust pretty badly, so cleaned it up and it is looking good. I thought I didn't have this record, so this one's going to go on the sell pile. I'll double check the one that I have to see which one is in better condition. But we've got Country Music Time by Kitty Wells. Really like her music. She's a great storyteller, and this vinyl is in VG condition for sure. And we do have the inner sleeve. This one's on the Decca label, and looks like it's in really good shape. All right, getting down to the end of it here. Got a little Dean Martin from the thrift store. Marked it with the T, of course. But we've got Dean Martin for the good times. Later in his career, kind of got some cowboy vibes. Dean Martin starred in a couple of westerns, of course. Maybe that life and shooting got him a little bit away from Palm Springs and Los Angeles, and got him a little bit more into the Western lifestyle. But we got really clean vinyl on this. I would say EX minus, VG plus for sure. Do have an inner sleeve, of course, jacket, some ring wear. Got a little bit of punch out here on the paper on the back. So VG on this jacket for sure. And then these two I was excited to see because I never see this country artist out in the wild. I never see her records. And the one time that I did was at a thrift store, and they knew what they had. They had it priced at probably $10, $15. This unfortunately has some damage to the top, and that's part of why I'm going to keep it. But we've got the best of Porter Wagoner and Dolly Parton. I wish this was a solo album from Dolly, but it is with Porter Wagoner. You can see that someone was doing some painting with a stack of records underneath them, and the paint leaked onto the jacket. So this one's probably going to go to a VG minus on jacket condition. We do have an inner sleeve, and the vinyl I would say is VG as well. Yeah, just a lot of surface scratches. Nothing that looks like it would affect play too much, but this might have a little bit of static and popping and crackling in playback. And then lastly in the keep pile, Porter Wagoner and Dolly Parton. This jacket is in much nicer condition because it was in the shrink, but the shrink had paint all over the top of it. So I tore it off and just opted to go with it without the shrink. VG on the jacket, got a little corner ding here, but other than that, it's in pretty good shape. Do have an inner sleeve, and the vinyl I would say is in VG, maybe even VG plus condition. This side has some surface, very, very light surface scuffs and scratches on it. But Porter and Dolly, that's a good one. So that's the pick at George and Denise's house. They were really lovely to speak to, get a little bit of background about George and his very rich life. They were very kind. I found some vintage t-shirts from George's racing days and from his show business days, and they were very kind to sell me those vintage t-shirts as well. And I also got some cassettes. Those cassettes I will cover in a separate video with a cassette haul that I had at his house, and then a cassette haul from Facebook Marketplace. Let me know, what would you have kept out of this pile? Most of it I'm going to be taking to either Homer's or Grapefruit for them to take a look at, acquiring and giving me some store credit so I can purchase some records that I really want to add to my collection. But that's it. That's it for this vinyl haul video. Thanks for hanging out with me, everyone. Until the next vinyl video, I'll see you soon.